That's great, but we're going to go over on what those are and essentially let you know what to do with whichever one you're doing. So first, a couple house cleaning items we're going to go ahead and go over are that we are going to record this session today. We're also going to have it sent out to everyone that has attended as well as registered. For any reason, if you can not make the entire webinar, it is a short one today. It's only about 30 minutes with questions and answers to follow. Feel free, you can go ahead and step out. We will be sending this to you in a recorded version. We'll also be putting it up on our YouTube channel, imatrix.com. You can see our YouTube link there. As well as if you do have any questions, feel free to go ahead and type them in the question module that you should see in your GoToWebinar dashboard. And I'll go ahead and get to those at the end just to make sure that we can get through the presentation so everyone can kind of get what they need. And if they don't want to stay for the questions, they can go ahead and feel free to leave afterwards. So type any questions you have. I'll take them in the order that they come through. And again, if it's anything that you really want to kind of have a little one-on-one discussion on, we can make sure to have someone give you a call and help you out there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this started. Again, today's webinar is Do This, Not That, Building Your Online Reputation. Again, I am the iMatrix Marketing Manager here. We're going to go ahead and go over 3 basic things so far and what we're going to kind of cover in today's presentation, which is what you should do with negative reviews, the best way to deal with positive reviews, and how to encourage more 5-star reviews. A lot of times people tend to get a lot of different reviews. They're trying to figure out how do they maximize their reviews, how do you get those 5-star reviews, and we're going to essentially go over that today. So first and foremost is, of course, responding to negative reviews. That's one thing that a lot of people tend to kind of question. They tend to want to know, what do I do with these? Do I just let them sit there? Do I respond to them? What is it that I do? Negative reviews are one of those things where you have to do something and you kind of don't do something at the same time. And as far as that goes, first thing you want to do is obviously exhale and breathe and read that whole review again. This is not a personal attack towards you personally as the doctor, as the office manager, whichever. This is actually just something that happened to be their experience at that given time, that point in time. They maybe didn't like the experience that they had there. Maybe they, there was some unforeseen instance that happened at that time. Whatever it may be, you want to make sure that you can address it accordingly. Again, reviewing those facts, reviewing exactly what happened if someone came in and maybe they weren't greeted properly or they weren't offered the service that was that they were promised that was going to be provided. Maybe they just had an overall bad experience in general. That's not only going to kind of help you as a business, but it's going to help your overall customer base because they're going to also see the fact that you are catering to those clients and those customers that whether they have a good review, a bad review, overall you essentially care. So when you do respond, you want to make sure that you keep it brief. You want to make sure that when you do give some kind of explanation that it's not necessarily given in the sense that it's an excuse or whatnot, but that you are catering to them and that you understand where they're coming from and that you are doing something to possibly correct it. If it's something that you can't correct, then it clearly is part of your policy, part of what you guys have that you don't feel is, I would say possibly that you're in the wrong for anything, but you should still respond to them in the sense in letting them know, hey, this is clearly either, stated on our documents, in the office, or you signed this for that reason, or, we have it on our website stated as that. Whatever it may be, you need to review the facts and you need to respond accordingly. So when you do that, make sure that you have everything kind of lined up, but you keep the response as short as possible. And if you have a long, lengthy response that you actually do want to put out there, it might be best to keep the response itself short, but then leave some contact info for them to contact you at the office or email or whatnot. That way you can continue the conversation offline. That's the worst thing that people can do is have a conversation between 2 people through reviews, back and forth, back and forth. It just causes a mudslinging contest, and that's exactly what you don't want to do, and we'll kind of get into those reasons further down the line. So one thing you definitely don't want to do is ignore these things. You don't want to ignore any kind of negative reviews. Again, people look at different reviews, whether they're good or bad, and they kind of take judgment from there. So 86% of consumers want to hear from a company regarding a complaint or negative review. When someone leaves a review, it might not be good. Of course, it might be negative, but that's also kind of a cry out to have that company reach out to them. I'm going to give a good example. I had some issues with my internet service provider. They sent out a survey. I was honest with the survey. I wasn't, scathing or anything, but I was completely honest about the experience. I had someone reach out to me really quick, not even within a day, I believe, to kind of figure out what's going on, the issue with it, see what they can do to resolve it. overall, just that experience alone, the fact that they reached out to me, I almost kind of completely forgot the whole main issue on why I left that bad review in the first place. And that's kind of essentially what we're talking about here. We're talking about the fact that you are catering to them in the sense that you hear them, you understand them, they are your patient, they are your client. There's someone that you possibly want to have refer other people to you. There's someone that you want to have possibly continue to come to your office and to your business throughout, the lifetime of your business, essentially. And you want to make sure that they understand that that they're just not a number, that you want to be able to help them out in any way possible. Now, by having all eyes on you, what we essentially mean there is the fact that they're all going to be looking at that. They're going to be looking at the business. They're going to be looking at, you as a business owner or office manager or whatnot, and they're going to see how can you help me out. They decided to go to you for a specific service. There's a ton of different services, other companies out there that are doing possibly the same service. Why did they choose you? Their experience was possibly bad, so how is it that they're going to possibly still go to you after that? Well, that's all going to be, dependent on how you respond to them. So when someone's looking at a business, they see a review. If the review is not quite that great, okay, take it with a grain of salt. But if there is possibly not a response from the owner, from the company itself, in general, anyone, office manager, marketing manager, whoever it may be, that's going to actually drive away other possible potential clients, not just that one. So you need to realize that it's not just really about that one experience that client had. This is an experience that other people are going to look at and kind of base their decision on if they want to go to your business or not based off of that. So how you handle any one individual is really going to kind of be how other possible potential clients are going to actually view you. So don't let it drive other possible, potential clients away by the fact that you are ignoring or even slandering those reviews. Again, a mudslinging contest is not what you want. I've seen multiple businesses on Yelp do that where they argue with the client on Yelp, and it's embarrassing to the business, to be honest. I mean, because as a potential client, you look at that and you just think, you know what, that's not professional. That's, first off, it's not mature, and it just sounds like it's high school tactics. It's just one of those things where you don't really expect that from a business that you want to put your money towards to help service you. So keep that in mind. Do not make a mudslinging contest out of it. It does create a lot of backlash. It does create one of those things where people actually look at it negatively, and no matter how great you are, no matter how many 5-star reviews you have and how awesome everyone says that you are, they might take that one instance where you really kind of turn sour and really just gauge the whole business based off of just that. So be very careful when you do that when it comes to negative reviews. Don't ignore them. Respond to them, but again, don't respond in the sense that it makes it seem like it's personal and it's a personal attack to you, because it's definitely not. Even if they do mention you by name, keep in mind it's your business and you need to cater to it in that sense. Let me skip the slide here. Here we go. So what you do want to do, of course, is respond to positive reviews. That's another thing that people look at and they don't understand that, oh, well, it's a good review. Why do I need to respond to it? I should only respond to bad reviews. That's not the case. You get a good review, people want to feel like they're appreciated. They want to feel like even though you provided them service and they said thank you in a sense in the form of a review, that you are understanding that you appreciate that. That's the worst thing someone can feel, is that when they take their time out of their day to leave a review, to basically say something nice about a business, to essentially help the business, because it doesn't help them. It doesn't do anything for them. Anytime anyone leaves a review, it does nothing for them. Keep that in mind. I could leave 20 good reviews about businesses all throughout the week. It does nothing for me. It doesn't pay my bills. It has no effect on me whatsoever in that sense. But for the business, it definitely does. So you want to make sure that anyone that leaves a good review, that you thank them, that you mention that, if you do remember them as a client, maybe you mention, oh yeah, I'm really glad that helped out. I'm really glad that we were able to help you out, whatever it may be. You want to make sure to thank them. And it doesn't only just go with Yelp. It doesn't only just go with Google, but also people can leave reviews on social media profiles. They can leave reviews on YouTube even if they leave it in the form of a comment. Facebook, of course, Twitter, all those different profiles, people can leave comments and reviews. And keep in mind that even though it's not an official directory or review site like Angie's List or, again, Yelp or whatnot, people are there. Again, Facebook has over 1 billion people on its site, on its platform. Yeah, you might not have every single one of them following you, but the ones that do are a lot of them possibly not even your potential clients yet, they're going to look at those and they're going to see, okay, well, let's see what people are saying about this business. That's really kind of what a lot of people are doing now, is they're looking at profiles, social profiles, directory profiles, anything like that, because they want to know what other people think of the business. And if a lot of people are saying thank you and leaving all these great reviews, that's good, but then it takes it that extra mile. If you want to really kind of just take it from a 10 to a 12, you want to make sure and you want to respond to these reviews. And keep in mind, respond to them in a timely manner. That's really key. It's something where people do kind of look at the fact that if someone left a response and you leave a response 6 months later, it's kind of, the novelty's kind of gone already at that point, you know, and yeah, it's great, but, you know, it also makes people think that, you know, you don't really care, you don't pay attention to it if you're responding half a year later, you know. So maybe do it within a week if you can. I know everyone's pretty busy. You don't really have time to respond to every single review, but you do have time to say thank you to those customers that are champions of your business. And you want to make sure to let them know that they're being taken care of, because they all have the potential ability to refer more business to you, and you don't want to burn those bridges. So just make sure to respond, even if it's quickly, a quick response, a short response. Do something in a timely manner. I'd say at least within a week. As far as boosting your SEO, definitely it's something that can assist with your SEO. It's not going to be one of those huge, you know, ranking factors. But again, it's going to be something where, you know, if you're responding, possibly, you know, toss in a few keywords here and there. This is very tricky. I want to make sure everyone understands not to go and stuff keywords in like a robot and make it sound very robotic in your response. It sounds ungenuine. It doesn't sound like it's actually coming from you. It almost sounds like it's some robot program just responding to reviews or whatnot. Especially if each response to each review is exactly the same, it's going to sound like it's just canned and it's automated. It's not going to sound genuine. So you want to make it at least sound very human-like. You know, maybe toss a word here, a word there that pertains to your practice or to your industry. You know, and see how that goes. You know, I mean, that's one of those things where, you know, you want to make sure that it's able to be pulled up in certain ways where, you know, if someone is searching for something, that you can, you know, maybe through Yelp or whatnot, that people can actually find you in certain ways because it's also showing some kind of relevancy. And again, that of course goes into being sincere. Like I mentioned, don't make it sound robotic. Make it sound like you actually are sincere about leaving that response to that review, because again, they're helping keep your business afloat and helping to grow your business essentially. And so that's something that you want to genuinely say thank you. As a good example, you know, I actually watch a lot of YouTube, and there's a lot of good content on YouTube, and there's a lot of YouTubers out there that, of course, they make a lot of money. You know, they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars easily a year. There's a lot of YouTubers that are making millions of dollars a year, and they just do nothing but videos, whether they're vlogs, gaming videos, makeup tutorials, whatever it may be. One of the biggest things that they do, which I notice a lot of the times, is, you know, they get subscribers on their channel, whether it's hitting 100,000, 500,000, a million subscribers, even those that are already up in the 10 million, and they get just another extra million on top of that 10 million, which doesn't seem like a lot. But to them, they make sure and they post random videos here and there throughout their progress of their channel growing, thanking every single one of the subscribers for making it possible. Because that's essentially what your clients are doing. They're referring business to you. These reviews are very important. They're a big piece of the puzzle to growing your business, because all the prospects and all the future clients that you could possibly have are going to go and turn to these platforms first. So just make sure that you have your best foot forward when you look at these reviews, whether they're good or bad, and they're going to definitely help you out in the long run. So again, this kind of touches back into having those positive reviews, not just kind of, you know, essentially stand alone. Just to kind of read off this real quick, 71% of consumers who experience positive social care are likely to recommend that business to others. That really drops to just 19% for those who do not receive any response. So again, that goes really back to what I was mentioning as far as, you know, making sure that you respond not only to the bad ones, but to the good ones. The good ones are going to be a lot easier to respond to because there's nothing negative about it. You thoroughly enjoy it, I'm sure, just the same as the client does, but they're going to enjoy it when you respond to it. Whereas the negative reviews, you have to do a little bit more research, kind of understand, you know, what the problem is there, how it happened, where the weak chain link is in the chain, kind of thing. There's a little bit more work that goes towards that. But that doesn't mean that you can't put the same effort towards the positive ones. So again, keep that in mind when you're looking at that. And it actually encourages more positive reviews. It creates this kind of domino effect where people notice that you do respond, and then they realize, hey, that's great customer service. Customer service is very hard to come by when it comes to certain companies. There can be a company that just does an amazing job on their service, in general, their actual service itself, but their customer service is horrible. And for that basically means not a lot of people are going to want to go there. And the only thing that is really kind of holding them down is just the other side of that service, not the customer service side of it. Whereas I've been to other companies that don't really seem very large. They seem kind of small, don't really seem like they have a large budget. Obviously they don't have like the most state-of-the-art technology and other equipment and things like that. But their customer service is bar none amazing. And things like that, companies like that are ones that definitely bring in a lot of word-of-mouth business, a lot of other businesses. There's actually a lot of businesses out there that don't do any advertising. They don't do any kind of, they barely have a website. They don't really, they do it very old school. And the reason for that is because their service, their customer service is just bar none top notch. And a lot of people are word of mouth are mentioning, this business to everybody, their friends, their family, or whatnot, because of that customer service piece of it. So it does create this domino effect. It creates this wildfire, and if you're already doing a lot of these online marketing tips and online marketing tactics, that's great. You're already up in the know and everything, and this is just one of those kind of old school things that you really need to continue doing throughout your business. So one, obviously it creates a domino effect, allows other people to feel more comfortable leaving good reviews. Two, it also showcases your online engagement. People look at that, they kind of notice, hey, this person responds. This is something that, I want to leave a review for possibly, or, if they see a lot of bad reviews and you don't respond, or maybe it's a lot of bad reviews and that you're responding in a negative way, taking it very personal, that's going to really open the door to have other people want to leave bad reviews as well. And so just be careful with that. You could cause a big storm of problems if you don't kind of narrow it down and really kind of consolidate it down into certain areas where you can understand how these reviews are coming through. And again, like I mentioned, all these reviewers, they do appreciate the acknowledgement. Like I mentioned, even though I left a bad review for my cable company, they responded in a very timely manner. Of course, I never even asked for it, but they gave me a credit, on my account, which is nice, a little kind of courtesy credit kind of thing. I'm obviously not recommending you have to do that for all of your clients or whatnot, but just the fact that the service is there, they're showing that they care, that, oh, this isn't, how we run things, we want to correct that. I'm really sorry. Even the manager of their, I guess they call it client success or whatnot, department that deals, it's like their customer service department that deals with the reviews and everything else. They are the ones who actually called me, and I spoke to them. And so I felt like I was being catered to, and I felt like I was being taken care of. And essentially, it completely changed my view all the way around, So that's kind of what you really want to do. It's not just about responding to bad reviews, but it's about trying to see if you can turn them around and maybe change their point of view about your business because of that one incident that they reviewed you on isn't really how your business is ran. Maybe it just might have been a fluke, could have been something wrong with the, maybe your online system on your computers was messed up, maybe something happened with the equipment for that one day and it was just a perfect storm. Who knows, but that's something that they need to understand because that's just their one experience they had with you, and that's going to essentially be their overall view on your whole entire business. So that's something you want to also keep in mind. And when you do see these different reviews, encouraging these online reviews are something that you need to make sure and let these people know. They're not going to know what to do without, not necessarily you telling them what to do, but you need to kind of encourage it. I have a huge sales background, and one thing I learned that still stuck with me after all these years of doing sales in the past was I had one mentor long time ago. I was probably just out of high school that mentioned always ask for the sell, or like ask for add-ons or whatever it may be. Always ask, because there's nothing wrong with asking. They're not psychic, the client's not psychic. They're not gonna know. That's why a lot of places you go to, they kind of essentially try to upsell you on things, and it's not necessarily that they're just trying to squeeze more money out of you, but sometimes they just need to know because maybe you just don't know. And so they used a great example of McDonald's, or fast food chains. They always ask, would you like fries with that, or would you like to supersize that? They don't get any commission. They get nothing out of it. It's just part of their process. But a lot of times, maybe half the time, you might say, you know what, that sounds like a good idea. I'm going to go with it. Or, you know what, no, I don't want it. The worst thing you can get is a no. And so the same thing when it happens to be reviews. I would always at least try to see if you can somewhat lightly push reviews. Don't go and really aggressively be like, hey, can you leave a review for me kind of thing. I recommend that if you have a client that's in your office and they have a great experience, or maybe it's a client that's been a long-term client of yours for a while now, you guys know each other all, by name, they're like family basically kind of thing. Maybe those are the ones that you want to start off asking. You ask those people that have a great rapport with you, they're going to be more likely to want to go ahead and do you that favor because you know what, they've been coming to you for a while now. That's not a problem, sure. Especially the ones that maybe if they're a brand new patient, a brand new client, and they just left your office or they just had a great experience there, and oh yeah, it was wonderful, I'm going to come here again. Oh, perfect, great, thanks for mentioning that. If possible, feel free to go ahead and leave us a review, on Yelp or on Facebook or whatever it may be. And if you want, you can maybe mention like, hey, stop on in and we'll give you an extra 15 minutes on that massage, or I don't know, whatever it may be. The only thing you don't want to do is you don't want to push and promote, hey, we're going to give you a $20 gift card for a review if you leave it to us. That's definitely against the terms of service. You can't do stuff like that. But you can encourage them. You can encourage them to, possibly leave a review if they had a great experience. Of course, you don't want to do it to someone disgruntled, but pick and choose who you think you can ask, and maybe just kind of add that into your process because, again, it helps you out overall as a business. You don't want to mention that to them as a client, but just mention, hey, we would really appreciate your input. Feel free to leave a review, on Yelp or on Google or whatnot. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you for your, your patronage kind of thing. So it does overall help you as a business to improve processes and things like that. You can mention that to them as well. But again, it never hurts to ask, so just simply ask. And again, you don't want to really control what reviews are being posted. You really only want the honest feedback. And I just realized there's a typo in there, so I apologize. But you do want honest feedback, and that's one of those things where, again, I mentioned asking those who had a great experience. Asking those people who essentially, left your office happy, satisfied, whatever it may be. The ones that keep coming back to you, maybe the ones that started referring people to you, bringing their friends, their family to you, those are the ones that are perfect. They're the low-hanging fruit. They're the ones that you definitely want to essentially ask first. And the one thing you want to do is avoid asking too many people at once. That's definitely going to be something that's not going to be a positive thing. I'm just going to use as an example Yelp. Yelp will recognize and they will filter any reviews that are basically kind of a one-time review thing. So, for instance, if I was a business owner and I asked a bunch of people to leave a review on Yelp, but those people don't even have a Yelp account, so they have to create a Yelp account first to do it, and then they leave a review, that more than likely is actually going to get filtered by Yelp because their review machine, or whatever they call it, recognizes the fact that people will try to kind of game the system and essentially just get a ton of random people, friends and family, just random people to just leave all these random reviews on there. They also do notice that if a bunch of reviews, 5, 6, 7 reviews happen, like let's say all in the same day, that does also get filtered out. And on top of that, I highly recommend do not have, this is like a #1 thing, do not have a computer set up or a tablet or a laptop set up in your office to have people leave reviews. Your IP address will be tracked. They will notice that, and they will see that they're all coming from the same IP address, and then they will filter them out, or they will actually possibly blacklist your listing because of those tactics. So keep that in mind. Do not do anything to try to squeeze extra reviews out. You really want to kind of, again, avoid asking too many people at once. Maybe kind of keep it spread out. Maybe ask for a couple or a few, handful per week, because keep in mind, you might be asking for them, and those people might say that they're going to leave a review, and then they get home and they forget, whatever it may be. So you do want to ask at least a handful to maybe hopefully get a good, couple reviews, whatever, a week. That's not really that bad. But again, maybe avoid asking too many people. That way you don't get a bunch of reviews that end up just getting filtered, and then it was just a waste of time. Okay, so that's definitely a key point to keep that in mind. So again, that kind of cuts our webinar here. We got about 5 minutes for Q&A. If anyone has any questions, I do see some questions actually flowing through. Before we get to those, I do want to let everyone know they can go ahead and visit us online at www.imatrix.com. Also, give us a call at 1-800-IMATRIX or 1-800-462-8749. If you do call in, we will give you a free website evaluation. It's one of those things where we will go through your website, we'll audit it, check all the different social media profiles that you have, see if you're doing everything correctly, if your pages are set up correctly, if you have a good skin or theme on your website. If you currently aren't a client of ours, let us know what your goals are for your business. What kind of marketing goals do you have? Where are you standing right now? Are you looking for a larger footprint online? Are you looking for a better social media presence? Are you really kind of doing well on Google, but you're still not getting any kind of leads or clients coming in? Maybe PPC is the option for you. You know, there's a lot of different things, and we basically do all of it. So let us know. We'll kind of audit your website, your efforts in general, and then we'll kind of toss a nice little offer in there if we can help you out, depending on what area we can help you out in. So mention this webinar if you do. Tell them the marketing manager sent you, and maybe you'll get a little extra love there. But go ahead and toss some questions out. We'll go ahead and take a couple minutes here to go over these questions. And again, if you want to kind of review this again, we will be sending this out. I believe we'll send out the slide deck with the follow-up email to all you guys. But I do want to say thank you for attending this morning's webinar. And so let's go ahead and take a look at some of these questions here. So we got a question that says, on the subject of saying thank you, if we have not said thank you and do it from here on, does it look bad that we didn't respond and say thank you to the previous ones? Not at all. That's not a problem. Again, if it's one of those things where, you know, you've got a bunch of reviews like a month ago, 2 months ago, that you just didn't respond to, that's totally fine. You know, I mean, there's no better time to start than now. It's one of those things where you can't, it actually kind of probably looks worse, like I mentioned, if you respond to something 6 months or a year ago. Not saying don't do it. If you want to do it, feel free to go ahead and do it. Again, there's no harm in doing that. It just, you know, it might kind of look like, you know, if it's a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever, it's kind of like, well, that time came and gone, and what happened? Thanks for the thank you. It's like holding the door open for someone, and someone doesn't say thank you, and then you get that thank you 2 months ago. You're just kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. You know, like it's almost kind of loses its momentum. You know what I mean? So yeah, feel free to go ahead and do so. But again, I would just say going forward, maybe try to keep it a little shorter as far as the response time. Again, maybe a week, 2 weeks tops or whatnot, but just try not to go too long without leaving these responses. And if you're getting a lot of good reviews, you know, kudos to you. I mean, I know it might be kind of a time taxing to have to respond to all of them, but it's definitely going to be worth it. So great question, by the way. Next question is, I just came on as marketing director at my company. In the past, responses to negative reviews weren't always handled in the best way. Is there anything I can or should do to remedy this, or should I just go forward with a proper protocol? Let's see. So in the past, in the positive, I would say, you know, as far as go forward, that's probably the best bet, just because of the fact that you know, you don't want to have it to where, again, you know, if it kind of goes into the previous question as well. If it's one of those things where you didn't really have kind of a proper way of handling those, I would really just go forward with it and go kind of with the new format of it. There's nothing really you can do much about older reviews. If it's a review that's maybe like a month or 2 months old or whatever, you know, go ahead and respond to it. I'm talking about those reviews that you might have gotten of however long your business has been in business for. If it's been like a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, it's really kind of just lost its momentum. There's really nothing to do about that. If that person had a negative experience and it was a year ago, I mean, you can kind of touch base with them on that, but really, I mean, they've probably come and gone and already gone somewhere else. I mean, those negative reviews really got to be handled as quickly as possible, even more so quickly than the positive ones, because the positive ones, you don't have any problem with that client. It's the negative ones that have a problem with your business that could essentially affect the business going forward. So I would just say move forward with the proper protocol. Just kind of, you know, wipe all those efforts clean. If it's something that's not too long ago, maybe start with that proper protocol and kind of retroactive it a little bit on those couple few reviews. But again, I would just keep something in place going forward. That way you can you know, go ahead and make sure that it doesn't slip through the cracks like that again. So good question, by the way. Next question: what can you do if the negative review is really meant for another business with a similar name? We had a person who claimed to be one of our patients to give us a bad review. When we looked up her name, she was not in our database. Called the other practice, and we were told she was a patient in that practice. That's difficult. It's one of those things where, you know, actually it's very common. I mentioned this in a webinar I did earlier where we actually use this kind of pseudo name of Anderson Chiropractic. If anyone's kind of wondering, you know, obviously we are called IMATRIX. The owner, our previous owner, who started all of it, the founder basically, was a huge Matrix fan. Little kind of fun fact here. And so we named it iMatrix. Obviously, the internet and the web, it was a big, back then it was all the craze or whatnot, those movies. So our pseudonym was Anderson, like Mr. Anderson. So if anyone's seen those movies, you'll know what that reference is from. But the funny thing is that with Anderson Chiropractic, Anderson Veterinary Clinic, all these different Anderson names that we use, like on our demo sites, if anyone's been on our demo sites, there's actually Anderson Chiropractics out there, and there actually is probably a good 5 or 6 that are our clients. So I always get a chuckle out of that when I see a client come through that's Anderson Chiropractic or Anderson Veterinary, because I almost look at it twice as thinking, wait, is that real or is that like a test site of ours? So I definitely see the fact that, the same with people's names, there's going to be the same name in different states, different areas, maybe even the same state, maybe the same city, whatnot. I would say the best thing for that is if it's on Google, contact Google, let them know that, hey, this isn't our business, and they'll actually step you through that process. Same thing with Yelp. They'll actually kind of go through that and help you out with that and possibly flag it or maybe filter it out, because that happens all the time. So I would probably just kind of contact them through the website itself, through the back end of your Google business page or the back end of Yelp. And there's definitely ways you can just flag it, and it gives you different options on what you can choose. There is an option saying this is not my business, so go ahead and check that, and then they kind of step you through the rest of the process. Let's see, another question. What about negative reviews that are part of legal cases? Should you still respond? I would respond something, that's actually a good question. I would respond with something very short, keep it brief. Let them know, give them maybe some kind of contact info, an email, phone number, or something like that to call. That way you can take that discussion offline. You definitely don't want to put something like that online. You want to keep anything like that, personal info, HIPAA related, anything legal, whatever it may be, take that offline. That's like a golden rule, politics, religion, all that kind of same stuff. That's all a golden rule. You definitely want to keep that offline, and you want to give them a short response letting them know that you acknowledge it, but that they need to contact you to get a little more clarity on it. So that's probably going to be the best way to do that. Another good question. When you're giving a negative review that's clearly based on exam prices, and we clearly let patients know, but this one has insurance we don't take and chose to be seen, then a week later was made about the prices. So my question is more, what would you say as a response? Well, stuff like that actually happens a lot, and that kind of goes back to what I was mentioning as far as, this is your policy, this is how it's always been, or, if someone's not happy with something that of a way that that's just how you run your business, and that's how you've been conducting business for years, and it just happened to rub, the wrong way with a particular client. That happens all the time. Something like this, again, I would say would be a short response. I would let them know, hey, this is kind of like, this is what happened, essentially. Give them a short explanation of kind of what you just explained to me a little bit, without going too far into detail, obviously, about that personal issue. And then again, let them know that they can contact you if they have any further questions or comments or whatnot. Remember, you don't have to respond to a negative review and answer the negative review and completely squash that negative review. It's just really more so the fact that you are responding to the review, that you're acknowledging it. That's actually the key focus of this whole webinar, is not to get a solution through reviews. Reviews are there because they're telling you their good experience or they're telling you their bad experience. And if they had a bad experience, that needs to go a little further in detail. The whole fact is not to get that experience or that review completely resolved or that issue resolved online. It's to make sure that they understand that you see it, that you acknowledge it, and that you want to help them out. And they have to contact you outside of the reviews in order for you to kind of settle it or resolve it that way. But you want to make sure that that's taken offline and not, again, a mudslinging contest through reviews. So that's going to be the best way to do it. Keep it short, simple, but let them know that there's a way that you can, that they can contact you to further resolve the issue. Let's see. Is it a good idea besides asking patients to review? Is it a good idea, sorry, besides asking patients to review us on Yelp, to maybe put up a poster saying we appreciate Yelp, Google, Facebook reviews? Or would that be too aggressive? That's not aggressive at all. That's actually very much encouraged. We used to do that here. We used to do it a long, long time ago, where we would have these kind of window decals. And you see that all the time. You go to an ice cream parlor, you go anywhere. It says, hey, leave us a review on Google, on Yelp. You're simply just asking for a review. There's really nothing wrong with that at all. And Google, Yelp, and Facebook, they'll even send you decals that you can put up in your windows to ask for reviews. They encourage you to do that. So that's definitely a great idea. And if you can do that, we also recommend putting maybe little tents, what they consider little kind of, it's hard to explain without showing you guys, but it's really just kind of this little tent thing that you can put on your desk or whatnot. It's like a little triangle kind of sign, I guess you can call it. They call them tents. Or TPs, and really kind of just says, hey, leave us a review, or, hey, check us out on Facebook or whatnot. A lot of times, if it's not just saying, hey, leave us a review, it'll say, check us out, on Yelp, or check us out on Facebook, and that way, that's kind of passively asking for the review. But you can also ask for the review. There's nothing really wrong with that, and it's really honestly encouraged. If you are doing that, that's not aggressive at all. That's actually a great thing to do. So I would continue doing that. Okay, and then the next question is, would you recommend an incentive type program for existing clients to help add new ones? If so, what type? Where would I get that type of poster from Facebook or Google? It's one of those things where, Facebook, Google itself, I mean, they send them out sometimes to random businesses. Facebook is kind of almost the same thing. It's one of those things where, I would probably have to look into that. We don't necessarily do that on our end as far as Facebook and Google. I know with Yelp, depending on how large your business is, a lot of times they'll send you some stuff via email or via actual direct mail, physical mail. So it's one of those things where you can actually inquire about that within the website. Keep in mind, though, when it comes to Yelp, they are a business, and they will try to sell you on things. So it is very controversial when it comes to Yelp. A lot of people tend to either love or hate or both on Yelp. But it is one of those things where just keep that in mind, that they might try to sell you on something, and sometimes those things might not be for free, and they might actually start charging for those. So you might want to inquire. Just go ahead and go. There's links on the back end of those review sites that you can actually look into, and they will be able to help you out from there. Okay. So I'll have to cut this short. We are running a little over time. Thank you again for attending this week's, or I should say this month's webinar. We do webinars all the time. Feel free to go ahead and check them out. You can go to our YouTube channel. You can go to imatrix.com and check out our YouTube link and all our other social media links up on the top right. But I want to say thank you again for stopping by on this webinar this morning. If you have any questions that are pertaining to this webinar, or if you have anything else regarding any of the services that we offer to help out with any of these reviews or whatnot, let us know. Give us a call at 1-800-IMATRIX, 462-8749, or go to imatrix.com. Thanks again. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon.